Okay, good evening everyone, and welcome to the another session of Weird JavaScript weekends. And in previous session, like yesterday's session, we had discussed about how ECMAScript introduced many new features like destructuring, array methods, spread, etc. And in today's session, we are going to discuss few of them. Uh, Today, we are covering destructuring, array methods, mapping, filtering or conditioning over array, and for of loop. There are actually two loops which we know, for and while loop. ECMAScript introduced another one, for of. If you have ever used Python, you must be knowing the for in. Similarly, in JavaScript, we have for of loop. Now coming to destructuring, um, Anmol, I think you should share your screen. Am I audible?
Hello, is my screen visible?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So first we will be learning what is destructuring. Destructuring is introduced in ES6 updates. So what's the use of destructuring? Like for example, if you have to find the values, like there is an array or there is an object, and you have to find an element inside it. So for doing that, there is an normal method to do so. But after the ES6 update, we got another way to do the same thing. So this method is known as destructuring. Now we will see how to do this destructuring in different cases. For example, in case of JavaScript, destructuring is mainly done on object and arrays. So let's see an example how it is done on array. So for example, we will first declare an array, one, uh, two, and then we have value three. So if I want to access the element of this array, the normal method that I was implementing earlier to the ES6 update is that I will do console.log. If I have to find the first element, I will just simply do array 0, and this will give me the answer. So I'm getting the answer 1. But how to do this using the destructuring concept? So we will do this. So the syntax we are using is that const. So you have to use this bracket, square bracket. Then after this, you have to put some variables inside it. So x. So we are putting the variable x, y, and z. So there are three elements. So we are using x, y, and z, x, y, and z, and then we are equating it to the array. So what it does is that it stores the one in the x, we get the in the x we get the one, in the y we get the two, and in the z we get the three. So let's check if it actually works. So console.log, and we having x. Yeah, so we can see here we are getting a one. So this is the way we are doing this. So now if you have to find the second element, so you have taken a variable y. So what you have to do, just simply do console.log y. So once you will do this, you will be getting the answer 2. So this was the normal way of doing the array destructuring. Now there might be case that you don't have a certain value for that element. Like you can do a thing is that you can set a default value for this. So in case if there is no value, then it will show the default value. For example, if I am if I am adding here w, so what I will do is give a default value to w, that is w equal to 4. Yeah. So let's do console.log w, shift a. So I am getting this value 4, but in actual array there is no element 4, but no fourth element, but I am getting it because I have used a default value. But in case if I had not used this value, say I have removed this and do the same thing, I will be getting undefined because there is no value, the fourth value in the array. So this is how we can set a default value to the array. Have you do you have any doubts? You can ask in the chat box, or you can turn on your mic to ask. Uh, okay, so we will be taking on the next part. So the next part is wait a second. So next part is using. using it in a spread operator. So I have discussed this in the first session, but I will revise it once again for better understanding. So we will be using the spread operator. For example, let this be the array one with the element 1, 2, 3. So now I will be using const x spread operator y equals to array. Array console.log x console.log y. So I have used the array with elements 1, 2, 3. I used the spread operator. So what I did is that I declared a variable x for the first element mapping with the array, and for the rest, all the rest variables I am using this y. So let's check what it is giving. So see, for console.log x we got 1. Why? Because the first element in this array was 1. Now talking about console.log y. So y will give the rest element apart from 1. So apart from 1 we have two elements, that is 2 and 3. So we are getting this 2 and 3 in the output. So this is the way we are using the spread operator to destructure and get the value. Now an important thing you have to note here is that always the spread operator is used in the terminal as a terminal variable. You cannot use it in the front. For example, I will do the same thing. Dot. Yeah. So let's check if this is working or not. See, I'm getting the error. So you have to always note that that spread operator must be always be used in the terminal variable. So this was about spread operator. So next thing we are going to take is now the next thing we will be talking is about swapping of variables. Uh, so let us declare two variables. Let x equals to 4. Let y equals to 7. So sorry. Let y equals to 7. So the normal way you must be doing it is by declaring an another variable temp and then doing so. But if I ask you to do the same thing in one line, so how you will do this? So the method to do this is x y. So y x. So console.log x console.log y. So let us try this. Yeah. So the value of x was initially 4 and y was 7, but now we are getting 7 and 4. So how it is working? Let's see it. So x and y are two variables. Now what this line is doing is that it is mapping x with this y. So the y had a value of 7. Y has a value of 7. So this 7, so x equates to this 7 that is stored in y. And similarly, y equates to the x, that is the x shows 4, so y is equates to 4. So the answer we are getting here is 7 and 4. So this is the way we can swap two variables using destructuring. So the next thing is, yeah, so the next thing we will be learning is how to use it on functions. For example, if we take this example, second, let me copy it. So we have defined a function. So what does this function do is that we have two parameters a and b. Once we pass this parameter, it gives an array. It gives an array with two elements. One is a plus b, another is a into b, and it gives this element in an array. So let us do this by simply doing this, like simply calling this function. We are getting 5 and 6 array with element 5 and 6. Now, so we can find we got 5 and 6, but like actually I want this value separately, like I want the sum individually and the multiply individually. So how can I do this? So to achieve this, what I did is that I used destructuring. So const, then the square bracket, then we had sum and multiply. So these are the two values that this array will be giving. So the first element is the sum and the second is the multiply. So I equate it to the function. So function returns an array. So we can consider this as an array. So this is a type of array destructuring because this function is returning array only. So so let us check the value we are getting from here. See, for sum we are getting 5, and for multiply we are getting 6. We have taken the case 2 and 3. So 2 plus 3 is 5, and 2 into 3 we are getting 6. So the two values we are getting are 5 and 6. So this is the way we can use destructuring in case of a function. So for so the another thing we will be talking is that in case we want to add another division. So let us add another division. So actually the division is not there. So what we can do is that we can add here no division. So this is the default value. So what's the need of this default value? For example, if you don't have this division parameter inside it, then also it will not return undefined but return something useful that is that can be read by the person who is seeing the code. So for example, let us do console.log division. So here we are getting no division. So this is the way we are doing this. So another thing, yeah. So the another important topic that we have to discuss is that, for example, you are wait, let's take this as an example. Yeah. So you are doing that array destructuring part. For example, you don't want this. You want only the value of x and z, but you don't want the value of y. So what you have to do is that you have to just add a comma, extra comma. So it will the compiler will able to recognize that there is an element which we don't want to add. Okay. So let us to array. So let us do console.log x, console.log z. Let us check. Let us check. Shift A. So we are getting 1 and 3. But in case if you were not using this comma, extra comma, let's check what was the answer. Shift A. So we are getting 1 and 2. So it is accessing the first two elements. But I want the first and the third element. For doing so, we added another comma. Okay. Let us suppose that we add another comma. Now this z is the fourth element, but actually the fourth element is not there. So according to us, what must be the answer? Let's check. So we are getting undefined, of course, because here in this array there is no fourth element. So we are getting undefined. So this was the concept that we have to discuss. Now going on to the destructuring an object. Yeah. Wait, uh, so let's take this example. So initially, before the ES6 update, the normal way to do this thing is that. So what we did is that we defined an object named student. So student has a name, has an age, and a gender. So we used a variable name, age, and gender, and just use the dot operator. So student dot name to access this name value. Now student dot age to access this age value, and student dot gender to access this value. And at last did console dot log. So let's check. So we are getting, yeah, we are getting the name, we are getting the age, and we are getting the gender. So this is the thing. Now there is another way to do this thing by using destructuring. So the main difference in destructuring of array and object is that in case of destructuring of an object, you use this curly braces. So you have to use this curly braces to do the same thing. And another important thing you have to note is that the object key, the name of the object key that is present, like this is name, this is age, the name must be same as that of the variable. You cannot have a different name. For example, I have age. So let's take name, age, gender equals to student. Okay. So we will be doing console.log. We will be getting name, age, gender. So we are getting the same result. So destructuring do not changes the result, but makes it very efficient. Like it is very easy to understand what is happening. For example, if you see you are using the same thing multiple times, student dot name, student dot age, student dot gender, but here you can see it is very organized. You are first destructuring it and then directly using it here. So this was the thing to discuss. Now getting on to the next thing is that this name, age, gender, they can be interchanged. Like there is you don't have to follow a specific order to do this. For example, here I have defined name, age, gender. So it doesn't mean that you have to do the same thing here, like name, then age, then gender. You can also change. For example, I will add age at first. So let me add this. So let's check if the value change or not. Yeah, so we are getting the same value. So for example, sorry, I previously said that if we have to keep the value of the key, the name of the key, and this variable same, this one. So let's check if this is true or not. So for example, let I rename it to age 1. Yeah. So let's check if it's giving answer or not. So we are getting the error. So you must have the object key that are present here as same to the variables that are here. But if I want to rename this, so what I can do? So the thing you have to do is that just add another age 1. So now you can do the thing. So now you do age 1. Let's check. Yeah, we are getting the result. So you can do the same thing for name also. You can change this to full name, and for gender you can also for gender you can keep another thing, like you can rename it. The main funda is that. So the next thing is getting the default value. So the default value in case of object and array is same, you have to just add age 1, this is 25. You can add this, and in case if age is not present, it will give this value 25. So this was about objects. Wait a second. Yeah. We have discussed all the cases. Let me check this. Let me check the slides if there are any more.
I think we can move on to array methods now.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
6:43.
Yeah. Let's move to the array methods. So now we will be discussing array methods. Now, what's the need of this array methods? So array method is like a magical tool in JavaScript. What it does is that it makes easier for us to solve problems. Like we have to find a desired output from an array. We have to find a desired object or desired length. So we can use this methods. So for example, we have an array of named fruits. So in this array, we have elements banana, orange, apple, and mango. So the first method is that we have to find the size. So how to find the size? Just do fruits dot length. So according to us, if we see, it must have 4 elements. So let's check. So here we are getting 4 elements. Now the next thing is that so you can see this fruits is in array form. Now I want this to be in strings. So how to do this? So what I did is that let I define a string, a string equal to fruits dot to string. This is the function. This is the thing. This is the method we are using on fruits to convert this array into a string. So convert this fruit array into a string. So let's check if we are getting the answer. So we have this array banana, orange, apple, mango. So we are getting this string. Uh, the next thing is that if I have to find an element at a certain position, for example, I have to find the element in the array at second position. So what I have to do is that fruits dot at and the specific position. For example, here we have used the position as 2. Let's check the answer. So we are getting apple. So this is 0, this is 1, and this is 2. This is the second position. So we are getting 2. For example, if I change this to 6, so will I get the answer? Let's check. So here we are getting undefined because in this array there is no sixth element. That's why we are getting undefined. So the next thing we will be discussing is that join. So what's the use of join? So join is almost like a string, like a two string method, but the main difference is that in join you can replace the comma with with any other symbol. For example, I have used here and. So I have used this, or I have declared fruit. So fruits dot join, and I have used this and. So what it will do is that in place of comma, it will add this and at every position where there is comma. So let's check. So you can see we are getting banana and orange and apple. So here we were getting in two string method, we were getting a comma. So in place of comma, we are getting an and. You can replace it with any value. For example, you can take here. Yeah. So let's check. So we can change the like the sign we are taking here. So now the next thing we will be learning is the pop method. So what does this pop method does is that it is very similar to that of vector concept in C++. So you can see const fruit. So here we have 4 elements: banana, orange, apple, mango. We have to we popped an element. So popping out, let's check what will be the result. So we are getting banana, orange, and apple. So what it did is that it removed the terminal element. So the terminal element is mango. So it just removed it. Now you want this element. You want this last element. For example, if you want this, what you will do is that you declared variable fruit and you equate it to fruits dot pop. So the element which is popping out is mango. So the fruit is storing mango, and once you are consoling it to terminal, you are getting apple. Let's check this. Yeah. So we are getting mango as the mango was removed. So the next thing is like pop, we have also push. So let's check this push. So in push, we are adding an element at the last of the array. So initially there was banana, orange, apple, mango. We added kiwi to the last element. So now the size also increased. So by this method, the size also increased, and by the above method, the size decreased. The next thing we will be doing is that shift. So how does this shift method works? Let's check. So initially we had banana, orange, apple, mango. So now we have orange, apple, mango. So what it did is that it shifted all the elements of the array to the left side. So this banana got out of the array, then we got orange, then apple, that and then mango. So indirectly it reduced the size of the array, and the first element from the array got removed. So this is how the shift works. Now so if you want to get this the value which was shifted, like the same we did in case of pop, you can do the same thing. Fruit equals to fruits dot shift, so it will give the elements that was shifted towards the left. So you will be getting here the value that is a banana. The next thing is unshift. Now how does unshift works?
Anmol,
Yeah.
I think instead of explaining every method, we should directly just give a brief about delete, concat. They must be knowing what is concat, delete. Let's just move to slice and splice.
Uh, okay. So I will give a small summary of delete because it's important. So in case of delete, when you are deleting element, for example, delete if you are deleting the first element like this element. So once this banana is deleted, this in place of banana we get an undefined. So in this case, the size of the array doesn't decrease. In place of banana, instead we get a undefined value. So this delete function means delete method is not much preferred, because in case of this we are getting an undefined value, and also the size is not decreasing. So the second the after this we have concatenate method. So this is simple. You have two arrays, you have to just concat this. So what I did is that this was the array dot concat, and the array I have to concat it with. So just I did this and I got the result. Yeah. uh, yeah. So the next method we will be that is very important is splice. So we have this fruit array. We have this fruit array. Now, how does this splice works? So let's check. Let's check first. Check what's the output of this. So we are getting banana, orange, lemon, kiwi, apple, and mango. So what we did is that we added lemon and kiwi. So what are the parameters here? Wait a second. Uh, so what are the parameters here? So the two means we are adding lemon and kiwi at the second position. So after banana and orange, we are getting lemon and kiwi, and here zero here means that we are not removing any elements. For example, if we do one here, let's check. So the apple got removed. So if we let's suppose we are using here two. So let's check. So in here the mango is also removed. So here we have only four elements, that is banana, orange, lemon, and kiwi. So these are very important. For example, so this specifies at what position we have to add this elements, and this specifies how many elements we want to replace or remove. So these are the two things in splice. Now the next thing is slice. So how does slice work? So let's first console this. So we are getting orange, lemon, apple, and mango. So what did this slice do? So const fruits. So we have this array. So we declared another variable citrus. So we use the method fruits dot slice one. So what it will do is that it will give all the elements starting from one. So slice. So before one, all elements will be removed. A new array. So citrus will be getting a new array with elements starting from one. So we are getting orange, lemon, apple, and mango. So if we change this to two, yeah, let's check. So we are getting lemon, apple, and mango. So all elements starting from second, we are getting lemon, apple, and mango. So this was all about array methods. Uh, wait a second. So I have covered all the array methods, and for more reference, you can click on. There are links to this. You can visit W3 School and also practice some questions there for more clarity. So then I will. Srishti, can you please
Yeah.
take on from the next?
Uh, Juniors, do you have any doubts? Anyone who is attending? If you have any doubts on array methods and destruction which you want to ask to Anmol. Okay. I think nobody has any doubt. Let's move on to. Okay. Now coming to JavaScript mapping. What is mapping? Okay, any iterable object. What is iterable object? An object which has multiple, more than one number of elements. That can be an array, an object, anything. Okay, so if you want to perform a particular any procedure or any operation on each element of that object, what will you do? What will we usually do? Will either perform use the loops, and after looping on each element we'll add that function to each of those elements. But is that efficient? So we have different methods, different array methods, and mapping is one of them. So what does map do is, here is a syntax. Okay, so the syntax shows that in map you have the first argument is an element, the index element. You can name that it's a variable, it creates a variable for each element in the array, and the third one is array. uh, Let me show you this. And what are the parameters? The element index array, and it returns value, it returns a new array of after performing the operations on the previous array. It'll be better if we just look at the examples. Okay, map. uh, Now look at this array, the numbers. Let me increase the size. Okay, the numbers 149, these are squares of numbers, right? So now I need another array. I need to create an array which returns the square roots of these numbers. Okay, what will traditionally, conventionally, what will I have to do is I'll have to iterate to all the elements, then I'll have to take the square root of each of them and add append to another array. Well, that will take a lot of time and will have okay. So instead of that, what I can simply do is use map. In map, as I showed, there will be a callback function. So first, let's write this callback function. As you can see here, numbers is this array. Okay, our numbers have this array dot map, and in arguments we have make square root function. This is the make square root function. How does this work? Now, this is actually the syntax. This is the syntax of mapping. That's a mapping, and this is a function. What is this function? The callback function is make square root each number. We are naming the element, whatever the element we are or the array we are iterating to. When we take the one particular what can I say, item, we are naming here, we are naming that as num. So what, you can put anything, like you can say n or num, anything, whatever you want. And then there is index. Index, you can write edx or index, anything, it doesn't matter. Okay, then what do I want to return? What is the operation that I want to perform? That the num, we need to return a square root. And we have math dot square root in JavaScript. So math dot square root of number, then this will create another array that is passed on to square roots. So let us try to log the square roots. I'll comment these out. Let's run this file. Okay, so as we can see here, the return new array is showing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 till 10, because 1, 4, 9, we are taking the square roots of them. And the new array, which is square roots, is showing numbers from 1 to 10. Okay, so there is another way of doing it. Yesterday we learned about array methods. Oh, sorry, arrow function, right? So instead of putting a function, instead of creating entire new function and putting that function inside this, what we can do is, okay, what we can do is simply write an arrow function inside the parenthesis. So you can simply pass an arrow function as an argument to map method. And how does this work? So as I said earlier, the num and index, index is optional. If you want, even if you don't want to use it, you can skip it. Here I've named it as num. Let's name it as n, because it's a variable and you can name it whatever you want. We can take two parameters, n and index. Okay, I've written n and index, and what are we returning? Math dot square root. So the right side of the arrow function is something that we want to return, and math dot square root of n is what we are returning. Let's try this out. We are performing this on numbers. Let's try this out if it works. Yeah, it's giving the same result. So instead of creating an entire new function and then adding that, we can simply write inside the parenthesis. Now coming to okay, I want you to try this out, but today we don't have that like the huge number of participants or members in our meet, so let's just skip this one. But yeah, again, instead of okay, this one is to find the squares of numbers given here. Let's try to print this. Okay, as we can see, we are getting the squares of these numbers because the function which we have put is n. N is the argument which we are taking, and returning n into n means square of n. So what we are getting, this is 1, square root of 1, square root of 4. Similarly, we are getting square root of all the items in numbers. Okay, let's comment this out. Okay, so as I said, you can either iterate on an array, or okay, you can perform any type of operation. You can even return an object. Let's try this out. In second example, we have this array, and what we are doing here, we are creating an array for each item. For each item in this array, we are creating an object. And what does this object consist of? It has a key, the value of key will be index, and the value will be value into value, the square of the value. Let's try to print this. Okay. Okay, so as we can see, this is the array of object. Each element has got converted to an object, and the object has key. So now you can see what is the work of this index, because we are taking two arguments, right? One is the value, the iterable element, and second one is the index. So what is the use of that index? That this is it. Index, like, it maps from 0 to the last element, and the value is the square of element. So yeah, this is the use of index. Moving on, uh, next slide. Okay, now we just mapped over an element, over an array, and as I said, we can map over any iterable object. Let us try that with an array of object. So as we can see here, the people is an array of objects. This is the first object, this is the second object, that is each object has name and age of that person. ठीक है? Now we need to create another array, that is updated people. What are we doing here? Okay, let us look at what is the goal. We need to capitalize the first letter of each element and add age group property. Now each object has two properties, name and age. And our aim is to add another property, that is age group. Okay, so we need to add age group here. This is how it will look. Age group, but we don't have that yet. And we need to capitalize, because look at these proper nouns, John, Alice. The first letter is not capitalized, so we need to perform these two operations. How will that be done? Again, the people array is here, we need to map on it. Each person is taken, then this is the argument. The left hand side of the arrow method is the argument, the person. What operations are we performing on that person? Now be careful here. In first example, the okay, the element or the item which we are iterating on was a number, right? Value. What is the value in array? 2, 5. These are numbers, right? But when it comes to map here, when it comes to the second example here, it is not a number, it's an object. This name and age, an object having name, age properties. So here, the person is not a number or any variable, but it is an object. So the person object, what are we doing here? In the map, we have kept this arrow function. What are the operations we are performing on person? We have taken the person object, then this is the function, right? In the curly braces, we have added the function const capitalized. Capitalized equals to person dot name character at 0. Character at is another string method. Character at 0 matlab index 0. The character at index 0 to uppercase, it converts that to the uppercase. It's a method, JavaScript method, to convert any letter to its uppercase. So the first letter will be converted to its uppercase. Now name person dot name. What is this person dot name? This is how we access the properties, right? For any object, this is how person dot name. Dot name is how we access any property. So dot name slice slide slice any like Anmol has explained what is slice. Okay. So now capitalized is the name of the is a what updated name of that person with first letter capitalized. Now what is, we also need to add another property, that is age group. How we will do it inside the function itself? What we are doing, person dot age, we are taking this. If it's less than 20, we need to add teenager. If it's above 20 and below 30, we'll add as a young adult, and else it's an adult. Okay, so we have three categories: teenager, young adult, adult. And how are we adding them? If they have age below 20, a teenager; between 20 to 30, it's a young adult. How will we do it? So first we're assigning an variable. We are creating a variable age group. We created that. Now we also need to add that to this object, right? How will we do it? Now return. What are we returning? What is this? This is the spread operator. Dot 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 person. What does that mean? So whatever was there in the person, this entire thing, that will be taken. We'll not have to repeat that again. Whatever was there in the person, that is added. Apart from that, name is changed to capitalized, and another property age group has been added. Let's skip the name. Let's see what happens. We're not adding the name. So what does this mean? Is we are taking the person as it is, we are not changing this. Then again we are adding age group to the age group, and this entire object we are returning, giving back, and that will create another array of object updated people, and we are printing that updated people. Let's run this and show what is the result of updated people. As you can see, we have name, age, and see here another property has been added, that is age group. It's visible here. Now why did we use this spread operator? Let's cut this. Okay, we'll cut this and just add age group. What will it return? It's only giving age group, because now all the properties we had earlier like name and age group, they have been cut because we didn't use them. So for that we'll need to do the spread operator. It actually takes values, all the values from person. Now if we run it, yeah, as you can see we have the name, age, and age group. Okay, but the age name is not capitalized, so let's put that capitalized here. And we have three properties. See, as you can see, name has been capitalized. Cool. Moving on, the mapping is complete. This is the same example, it has been provided in the ppt, you can have a look. uh let's move on. Now coming to filtering. Okay, mapping is completed. What is filtering? What do we use filtering for? First, to filter out some elements from an array. Let us say you have an array consisting names of countries, and you need to filter out the countries which are present in Asia. That will be very hard to actually perform. So let's take an example of adults. Okay, you need to filter out the adults from array of age groups. Okay, you have been provided an array which consists of numbers which represent the age groups of the people, and you need to filter out the people who have their age group above 18. Okay, applying condition, either filtering out the elements or applying any condition that the age group should be above this, or the color should be red, all the objects which have color red, all the filters and conditions can be applied using filtering. So again we have the filter method. What is the syntax? Let's have a look at the syntax. Array dot filter. Okay, and again the callback function, and this value is optional. But what is it? This value, this parameter is optional. It holds a context to be passed. It actually adds the filter. This is the example. This is a sample array. The sample array of ages 32, 33. We have people from all the age groups from 16, ranging from 16 to 90. And check adult. We need to add a function check adult. Let's see this in our uh, code editor. Okay, so what is this check adult function? Return age greater than 18. So what is it doing? What is it doing? Age. It is taking the parameter age and it's checking if the age is above 18. Okay. Now result is the new array which we are going to create. Result equals to ages dot filter and age check adult. So we are adding this function as a callback function in filter method. And let us print this result. Okay. If we print this, we are getting 32, 33, and 24. What are the elements that are cut? Uh, elements 16, 16, 12 were there. They are not. In the updated array, we can't see 16 or 12 because they are not above 18, right? Let's do one more thing. Let's perform one more operation. Let's check who are youngsters. Okay, and instead of creating an entire function outside, instead of declaring a new entire new function, what we're doing, we're just passing it as an arrow function inside the parenthesis as an argument. Okay, we're passing the callback function in the parenthesis itself. So see, this is the one line code. Here we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lines, and here we have only one line code. What are we doing here? We're taking age as a parameter. We can change name of that argument. Like let's say a. Okay. We are iterating on ages. Then we are taking one item, that is age. And if the age is below 40, we are returning that. We are returning that array. Okay, and passing it to youngsters. Let's print those youngsters. What are those youngsters? See. Here, we are able to see 32, 30, 16, 12. 16, 12 are included, but the elements which had 80, 90, they're excluded. Even the 54. Why is that so? Because they are not below 40. Okay. So now we have created another array of youngsters. We had one of adults and youngsters. Cool. Uh, let's move on. Okay, now we have completed mapping and filtering as well. Now I want you to think about this and answer this question. What is the difference between aim to use map and filter? What is the difference between the aim or the goal to use map and filter? The question means that why do we use map and when do we use filter? And why can't we just use filter for everything or map for everything? Why do we need to have these two different methods? Or what is the difference between these two methods? Because the syntax is similar, array.map and then a callback function, array.filter, and then another function which performs the operations. So what is the difference? Anyone wants to answer? You can put that in chat box. Anmol, if you're listening.
Hello.
Yeah, so since no one is there, just answer this. Like, what do you think is the difference between map and filter? Like, why do we need another method as filter if we already have map? What is the difference between mapping and filter?
Like according to me, that map
Mhm.
performs an operation over an array, but in
Yeah.
case of filter, we are filtering out elements from an array. So like the main motive is to filter out array based on some operations. Like we are calling some function which will be help, like if we want the even numbers, so in that case we will be filtering the even numbers out. But in case of map, I think we are just like doing operation on all the elements of the array, according to
Yeah,
me.
yeah, that's kind of the right answer. Yeah, in case of mapping, we are do performing the operations. See, one more difference is the most important is this one's returning something, is returning a number or a variable. In case of filters, the function is not returning any variable but a boolean. It's putting a filter to that method. This is not returning age plus 18 or age minus 18. It's putting if age is greater than 18. What is this? Age greater than or equals to 18. This is a boolean, right? Age greater than or, let's check here.
Yeah.
Node type of, see, this is false. Okay, because we have not uh okay, but type I had okay. What is the type of age greater than? This is a boolean. So in case of filters, the function which we add, the a callback function, it doesn't return any specific value or it doesn't perform an operation on it. It just puts a boolean function to it, a boolean, and if it's true, that element is passed on to the next array or the updated array. That is the answer. Okay, let's move on. Okay, like ECMAScript also added another loop, that is for of loop. In Python, you must be knowing we have for in. If there's an array, let us say array of fruits, we have for fruit in fruits, right? In JavaScript, we didn't have any of in JavaScript or any other compiling language. What do we need to do? We need to first for I equals to 0, I less than or less than array length, then I plus plus, and then array. We had to do this, right? So instead of that, this gave us very short syntax. This is very convenient to use. So instead of doing that I equals to 0, I less than length, and I plus plus, we can directly assign a name to the variable, whatever it is. Let where if we have array of fruits, we can just say for fruit of fruits. So this is a for fruit of an array, and then we can just perform the usual whatever you want inside the loop. Okay, let's check how it's done. For of, we have sample of fruits. Okay, what are we doing? We can just take we can assign whatever name we want. Here we are taking fruit. Okay, for const fruit, here we have declared a variable fruit. There we used to declare a variable for index like I equals to 0. Here we're directly taking the fruit, const fruit of fruits. Okay, so iterable item is fruit. We are iterating over fruits. Okay, fruit of fruits const. Now inside the function we are coming capitalized. We have declared another variable that is capitalized. What are we doing? The first character we are changing that to uppercase. Okay, then pluralized. The goal is to capitalize the first letter and write the plural form. Inside the fruits we have apple, banana, and the modified fruits here. The modified fruits is supposed to be the modified fruit is supposed to be array of fruits with plural forms like apples, bananas, oranges. This is what you want. This is the goal. Now how will we do this? Okay, right. So pluralized, we are inside the function, we are iterating, and while iterating inside the loop, we have created another variable pluralized. And how will we pluralize? By adding the s at the end. So in the string capitalized, we are concatenating that and adding s at the end of the name, end of the fruit. So if it's apple, that will become apple plus s, apples, and then we'll return that. Okay, so this is one iterable item, pluralized. Now we need to add that to modified fruits, right? This is the new array which we want. So what will we do? Modified dot push. The Anmol has already explained that push, that is to push any item to an array. So pluralized has been pushed to modified. Now let us print this modified for of. Okay, here all the first letters have been capitalized and they have been pluralized as well. Here we had apple, it became apples, bananas, oranges, kiwis. Cool. I hope everyone's clear till this. Yeah, this was the task to pluralize and perform. Okay, now coming to this, like we had to write an entire loop for this. Can you do this using map or filter? Okay, uh, what was the goal? Modified fruits. Let's take mod fruits. Const mod fruits. Okay, const mod fruits equals to uh, how are we doing this? Using fruits. The first array fruits, then map. Okay, let's not create another function. Just and for fruits, I'll just write a. Let's take a. So a is the fruit. Okay. So what are we returning? We are doing a plus s. Okay. We are doing, what are we doing? A is the name of the fruit. We are concatenating that with s. So a is being added with s to it. ठीक है, let us print mod fruits. Okay, see, we got the same result in only one line. Here we had to write the entire loop for this, and in using maps, we did that in just one line. What we do? The apples, bananas, the s has been added to each of those fruits, and that was assigned to another variable, that is another new array, mod fruits. This was possible because of map. We did it in only one line. Cool. Now let's move on. Okay, the last method, forage. I'm not going to show the code for this because it's very easy. You can just, I'll provide the W3 school docs for this. The forage. Forage is another method. Let's see if we have, yeah, we have forage. So for trees, we have an array of trees. So for each, again, it's a method and we have to pass a callback function, my function. What is this my function doing? It's in the text. Text is an empty string and index. Index, that is one, an item. Okay, the item is iterable object, iterable item. Item means oak, maple, everything. So what actually for each does is in trees, in the array of trees, it'll iterate over each tree. Like first it'll go on to oak, then to maple, then pine, then birch, then willow. So whenever it's iterating, that will perform the operation. When it's going to oak, what will it do? It'll add the index. Index will be zero, right? Zero, one, two. This is how we index. Now index will be zero. So zero will be added, then a colon, then item. What is the item then here? Oak, right? So zero colon oak, and then a new line because to make it readable. Let's print this. What is the new array which we have created? Orange. Okay. So here we had an array of oak, maple. Now that we added to text string. This is the string. Zero. This is the index. This is using the same format which you have written here. Index colon item and then next line. Oak, maple. This is the index 0, comma 1 are index and then maple. Well, we can also do this. Uh, what can we do? Let's just add plus s. Let's run this now. We got oaks, maples, pines, right? Cool. Back normal. Okay. Instead of doing the text, can we create an entire array of objects? Yes, we can. Instead of doing this, let's just return an object. Const new array. New array equals to trace of for which uh, new array. We'll print the new array. Okay. The function. What will this function do? It'll okay. It'll return. What will it return? Mm, it'll return an object where we'll have index. Index will be index and item, or let's call it tree. Tree will be item. Okay, so index will be index and tree will be item. This is the new object. So what are we doing here? For every item in this array, for every item that is tree in this array of trees, for oak, for maple, we are creating a new object, and that object will be passed to new array. So new array, what is the new array? It is an array of objects, right? Because each item is getting converted to a new object. So oak will be converted to a new object, maple similarly. All the other remaining. Okay, let's run this. New array for each. Okay, instead of this, let's just map. For each doesn't return anything. See, here we're getting, as I said, this is the array of objects. First object is of oak. The oak got converted to this object. index 0, tree, oak, and similarly remaining all other items. Cool. So this was the end of the presentation, and thank you. If you want to join in the community, this is the QR code. The link will be dropped in the text box, message box of the Meet. If you have any doubts, you can just put this in the message box. I don't think they're listening. P. Amrita, Ayush, if you're attentive. Okay, cool. I hope Ayush has recorded the session. Uh, the the session two, the day two of Weird JavaScript Weekends has been concluded. Cool, Ayush, is there? Cool. Let's just conclude this meet. If you have any doubts, you can put that in message box or just unmute and ask. If you don't have any doubt, you can just leave the meet. Recording stop कर देना.